When the Renault Megane E-Tech Electric first arrived 4 years ago, it was a genuinely important car. It was Renault's first production electric vehicle built on a dedicated platform, designed from the ground up to be electric rather than adapted from a petrol model. And it announced that the company with the Diamond badge was serious about leading the shift to electric power. It looked sharp, it felt modern inside, and it was packed with clever technology. But it had one weakness that quietly held it back. Its range and its charging speed never quite kept up with the best in the class. For 2026, Renault has gone back and addressed exactly that, with a midlife facelift that is far more significant than the modest changes on the surface would suggest. On paper, this is just a refresh of a car that is 4 years old, the kind of update that usually brings a new bumper and little else. But Renault has been smart about where it spent its effort. Rather than chasing a dramatic redesign, it is focused on the things that actually matter to electric car buyers: more range, faster charging, and a more modern face, while leaving alone the parts that already worked. It is a targeted, intelligent update, the sort that fixes a car's real problems instead of papering over them. And it is exactly what the Megane needed to stay competitive in a class that has moved on quickly. The most obvious changes are at the front, and they transform the car's character. The old Megane had an oddly shaped daytime running light, a curved line that always looked a little randomly placed across the bumper. That is gone. In its place is an entirely new lighting signature built around Renault's diamond-motif, with 2 sets of 4 stacked elements on each side, giving the front a sharper, more deliberate, more high-tech look. The glossy black panel where a grille would be is now filled with dozens of tiny diamond shapes flanking the large badge, reinforcing the theme. And Renault says the whole arrangement is designed to make the car look wider and more planted on the road. On the show floor, in this striking satin slate blue paint, it genuinely looks more expensive and more modern than the car it replaces. The changes continue at the back. The taillights now have a more three-dimensional effect and have lost the glass cover that sat over them before, which gives them a cleaner, more premium appearance. The rear bumper is more prominent and more sculpted, and it even gains a diffuser-like element with vertical fins, the kind of detail that adds a hint of sportiness without trying too hard. There are new wheel designs too, available in 19 and 20-inch sizes, and one practical side effect of the upgrades underneath is that the whole car now sits about 3/4 of an inch higher than before, which we will come back to. From the side, it is still the same crisp, compact, slightly raised hatchback shape that made the original so appealing. Step inside, and the cabin is largely unchanged, which in this case is no bad thing, because it was one of the best in the class to begin with. It is a genuinely lovely place to sit, with a clean, modern design, high-quality materials, and a real sense of care in how everything is put together. The centerpiece is a large 12-inch portrait touchscreen mounted vertically in the center of the dashboard, paired with a fully digital 12.3-inch driver display, and both come as standard. The graphics are crisp, the layout is logical, and the whole thing feels a step above what you expect at this price. Renault has always understood that an interior is where you actually spend your time with a car, and the Megane reflects that. But the most quietly impressive thing about this cabin is something Renault chose not to do. When most car makers facelift a car these days, they take the opportunity to delete physical buttons and bury everything inside the touchscreen. Renault has refused. The Megane keeps separate, physical climate control buttons, so adjusting the temperature does not mean diving through menus while you drive, and that single decision makes it far easier and safer to live with than many rivals. The technology underneath is excellent too, running Renault's OpenR Link system with Google built in, which means proper Google Maps, the Google Assistant, and a fast, familiar interface. There is one new addition worth knowing about. A small camera now sits in the driver's side pillar, which monitors your attention to meet new European safety rules, but Renault has cleverly made it useful as well, using it to recognize the driver and automatically load personalized settings like your seat position and your preferred media. Practicality is better than the Megane's compact, sporty proportions suggest. The boot holds 440 liters, which is around 15.5 cubic feet, and that is genuinely competitive, beating several key rivals outright. To put it in context, it is more than you get in a Volkswagen ID.3, an MG4, or a Cupra Born, all of which sit well below it. The rear seats are best described as adequate rather than generous, in keeping with a car focused on style and driving feel. But for a couple, a small family, or the daily commute and the weekly shop, the Megane has the space it needs. If breakdowns like this help you work out which electric car actually fits your life, subscribe so you catch the next one. For anyone who found the Megane desirable but worried it might be impractical, that big boot should put those fears to rest. Now we get to the heart of the update and the reason this facelift matters so much. The single biggest change is a brand new battery. Renault has switched to a lithium iron phosphate pack, often shortened to LFP, a chemistry known for being durable, safe, and cheaper to produce, and it has a usable capacity of 67 kilowatt-hours. Crucially, it allows the Megane to travel up to 311 miles on the official European test cycle, a serious figure that finally puts it on equal footing with the best in its class, and directly answers the single most common criticism of the old car. There is one small trade-off worth mentioning. The new battery is physically larger than the one it replaces, so Renault's engineers had to raise the car's ride height by about 3/4 of an inch to fit it underneath. It is a tiny change, barely noticeable to look at, and a small price to pay for the extra range it unlocks. Range is only half the story though, because the Megane also charges much faster now. Renault has increased the maximum direct current charging speed by 35 kilowatts, up to 165 kilowatts, and the result is that topping the battery up from 15 to 80% now takes around 24 minutes at a suitable rapid charger. That is roughly 25% quicker than before, and it is the kind of improvement that genuinely changes how easy the car is to live with on a longer journey. Together, the bigger range and the faster charging fix the exact two numbers that used to count against the Megane, and they fix them convincingly. The motor itself carries over, and it remains a strong, well-judged choice. It produces 215 horsepower and 221 pound-feet of torque sent to the front wheels, which is plenty for a car of this size. It will accelerate from 0 to 62 miles per hour in about 7.5 seconds, and it tops out at 100 miles per hour, so while it is not trying to be a performance car, it never feels short of pace. What has always set the Megane apart from softer rivals is the way it drives. It is one of the more engaging electric hatchbacks on sale, with quick steering and a tidy, agile feel through corners, the slightly raised ride height notwithstanding. It is a car that rewards being driven, not just sat in. There is, of course, an honest catch worth being clear about. In sharpening the Megane's handling, Renault has always erred toward a firm ride, and that has not changed. So on rough or broken surfaces, it can feel a little busy and unsettled compared with more comfort-focused rivals. Add in a rear seat that is merely adequate, and the fact that it remains front-wheel drive with a single power output rather than offering a faster all-wheel drive flagship, and there are clearly buyers for whom it will not be the obvious choice. But none of those are new complaints, and none of them are deal-breakers. The firm setup is the very thing that makes the Megane fun to drive. The big boot more than makes up for the modest rear space, and the facelift has fixed the one weakness that genuinely mattered. What remains are deliberate character choices, not flaws. Renault has also simplified the lineup. Going forward, the Megane E-Tech Electric will be offered in just two trims, the well-equipped entry-level Techno and the range-topping Esprit Alpine, which is the sportier-looking version shown in Renault's own press images. Streamlining things this way makes the car easier to choose, even if it does remove a little flexibility. On price, the updated Megane is expected to start from around £32,000 in the United Kingdom, which is close to $40,000 when it goes on sale in the middle of the year. That positions it sensibly within Renault's rapidly expanding electric range, sitting just below the larger Scenic and above the brand's trio of reborn icons, the new Twingo, the Renault 4, and the hugely popular Renault 5. In a class this competitive, it helps to know what the Megane is up against. Its most obvious rivals are the Volkswagen ID.3, the Cupra Born, and the MG4, along with cars like the Kia Niro Electric and the Peugeot E-308. Against that field, the updated Megane's pitch is now very strong. It matches or beats most of them on range and charging speed. It carries more in the boot than several of them. It has a more upmarket and more user-friendly interior than most, and it drives with more genuine character than nearly all of them. For a car that was already desirable, fixing its weak points makes it one of the most rounded choices in the entire segment. Taken together, the 2026 Renault Megane E-Tech Electric is a masterclass in how to facelift a car properly. Renault did not waste its money on a flashy redesign that nobody asked for. Instead, it looked honestly at what was holding a genuinely good car back, the range and the charging speed, and it fixed both decisively while refreshing the styling just enough to keep it looking modern and resisting the temptation to ruin the cabin by deleting its buttons. The result is a car that was already one of the more desirable electric hatchbacks on the market and is now also one of the most competitive. 4 years on, the Megane that helped kick off Renault's electric era is not just keeping up. With this update, it is quietly back near the front of the pack, and for anyone shopping in this class, it deserves to be high on the list.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and subscribe for more content just like this. Leave a comment below with your thoughts or questions. I read every single one. And don't forget to click the bell icon to get notified about my next upload. See you in the next video.